welcome to another episode of the Trees Blues podcast, episode 5 now this week. And in today's episode, we'll be looking at Leeds versus Chelsea game, analysing our brick wall Mendy as our player spotlight. I'm looking forward towards our crunch game in the Champions League round of 16, second leg versus Atletico Madrid on Wednesday night. A stalemate at Ellen Road tonight. Not tonight. This lunchtime. Don't think many people predicted that. I personally thought it was quite a good game. You know, both teams went at each other. It didn't create a lot, either team, but I know you weren't a fan of our performance today. I didn't think it was terrible, but you weren't impressed. Do you want to elaborate why you weren't impressed, mate?
I just think, like we mentioned last week, with Leeds, they're susceptible to leaking a goal or two. They're also a team who could score plenty themselves, and I thought it would be, if we were going to draw, I thought it would be a score draw. There would be a few goals either team, back and forth, a real nail biter to the end. And I just thought today, if anything, we definitely didn't deserve to win. And I think a point was quite generous. I think overall we had no ambition going forward. A lot of credit, like we spoke about briefly before, does go to Leeds with their just...
I thought they were very good, to be fair. They were very good.
The way they perfectly neutralised us in every attack that we had. They never really felt threatened by us, I found, and that's sort of where my disappointment stems from. We didn't really seem threatening. I thought Ziyech was horrendous today. I really didn't think he offered anything to the game. And when he came off, I thought it was a bit later than it should have been. And just going forward, we didn't really have any spark. Obviously, defensively, we weren't at our best, but we were still good. Obviously, Mendy was fantastic. That's a bright spot from the game. But I just personally think we didn't do much of anything, really. And it was just, overall, it was a very disappointing performance where we could build momentum going into a big game like Wednesday. I know you thought a bit more positively about the game, so I just want to hear what you think as an alternative to that, mate.
Yeah, I just think, I think even you might have mentioned it earlier. I think it was you. Leeds just kind of neutralised us, really. I think they just played well, and I think, yeah, you're right, we did struggle to break them down. I don't think conditions, pitch, and like I said, Leeds themselves were good. I don't think all that helped. And I think that's particularly why Ziyech struggled. You know, the lad was clearly lacking confidence. You know, when the ball, it's sort of similar happened at Barnsley. The pitch wasn't like a carpet, really. He struggled to control the ball and sort of get going. I don't know. I get your point on him. I think the reason we weren't up to our best today, though, was because we had a few players there who haven't played a lot in our previous sort of run a game, shall we say. But I know Havertz played excellently against Everton. That was only his second start, and I don't know. Ziyech just doesn't start that often. Pulisic, who I was actually pretty impressed with today. I thought he was looking closer to his best than he has been for a while. He doesn't play a lot. Chile's been in and out of the team. Really, that was sort of why we struggled, that we just had players who were sort of a bit out of form, and that's why, like you said, we didn't really create that much. I was impressed with Pulisic. I thought he was much more suited out on that wide position he seemed to be than he has been playing a bit more narrow. I don't know what you think of that. I just like it when he gets the ball on the sort of touch line or out wide and just runs at defenders. I think that's when he's at his best. He's got brilliant sort of close control and that sort of burst of energy. That's why I love him, and I think that's where he could be at his best. I mean, in the first, I think it was 10 minutes in, he straight away beat the Leeds defender, put in a lovely ball for Havertz. I think Havertz probably could have done better. I think potentially someone like a proper centre forward like Giroud would have maybe scored that. But Pulisic doing that, just put that fullback, I think it's Alioski, on the back foot straight away. So I was a bit impressed with him, but I don't know what you thought of his performance today.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was a lot better suited to that role where he is attacking the defender. He is sizing him up out wide. I think he struggles a bit down the middle. obviously he got quite a few goals towards the end of last season, but I don't see him as a very natural finisher and a very proficient goal scorer. So I think he needs to sort of put the defender on skates, and like you said, put like he did to Alioski, put him on the back foot and really test him and create for others, opposed to running down the middle and being playing as like one of the 2 10s that TT has been very big on utilising. I don't think that suits him. He doesn't have the creativity of someone like a Ziyech or a Mount. Obviously, I touched on how I thought Ziyech was terrible today, but like Mount, like I think he's better. Like sizing him up out wide, beating him with his pace, and then getting in behind and doing a bit of just like skillful dribbling to get round the players. So yeah, I think he suits it a lot better. I was a lot more impressed with him. I was a lot more impressed with his attitude today, anyway. Especially, I think his attitude at times stinks, and like it gets him out of games because he doesn't feel up to it. He starts to get pissed off, and then he loses the head, and then that's it really for him. So I think that like he looks better today. Another player I was really impressed with, I don't know about you, was Christensen again. Like just on the ball. Yeah. I don't know what's happened to him since Tuchel's come in, but like he's got all. It's like a good thing. Like I know we do laugh about it, like because he was bloody awful. And I remember over the summer, before the season started, we were talking about how like we don't think we need him. He's not really essential. We don't trust him. But something's just happened to him. I thought he was great, like bringing the ball out. It was very, very rare that I felt a lot of massive positivity to it. But like just seeing him consistency, like seeing from players who have been playing like frequently that they are keeping up to standard, and he's one of the few who really has maintained a level standard of playing throughout. And it's just nice to see. Obviously, Rudiger has been pretty good when he's been in, but we just need consistency at centre back. The only thing we had was Thiago Silva in terms of performances. We don't have the consistency of him playing every week. Like he's been injured 2 or 3 times already.
I thought Rudiger was pretty good today. To be fair to him, I thought he was. I don't know. He just seemed sort of on it. He's actually quicker than he looks, Rudiger, isn't he? He just seems to just run with ease and still keep up with players. I don't know. I was impressed with him today. He looked confident on the ball, and N'Golo Kante was just he was just pretty sick today on the ball. He's usually just there breaking up the play, but he's dribbling with it beautifully today, and he really sort of it actually looked like he was going to make something happen. I thought him or Pulisic are going to create the opportunity, which is mad. You wouldn't have said that when N'Golo Kante first joined Chelsea. It would have been interesting for me if Jorginho wasn't banned. Would he have played banned for the Atletico game? Would he have played today? Because I think it might have even suited like a Kante Kovacic sort of style today, just on the basis of they can both burst forward on the counter attack with the ball, sort of dribble and break lines. I didn't think Jorginho was bad today. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Sort of the tactics behind it. I don't know if you get which way I'm going with that.
Yeah, like sort of he wasn't suited to the game as like Kovacic, I think would have been. I agree. I think Kovacic is a bit more of a gritty, like grinding the game out, and I think that suits playing against teams like Leeds and just general like teams of that nature. So I think it would have suited him a little bit better. But it's like we say about it recently, like Jorginho has provided the creative spark. He's provided a bit of someone else for us, like pushing the team on and providing from midfield. I don't think Kovacic would have impacted the game in terms of like grinding it out and fighting for the badge and what have you. But would he have provided any creativity going forward? Because that's really what we lacked. So I get what you mean. I just think that there was a lot to be desired. I think we could have done with Timo Werner in there maybe. We didn't really, besides obviously Pulisic had quite a good game. I think his pace was essential to his performance. And I think we have Timo Werner up front and we just put those testing balls in behind that we create something and we have a bit more danger going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think what we sort of did learn today was even though Havertz was brilliant on Monday night, he's still got a little bit to learn, which is obvious. I mean, any 21-year-old probably has that in their locker, other than you get probably the odd exception like Haaland and Mbappe, look like they've been playing for donkey's years. Like, they're just different gravy, different level. But Havertz, he's got all the signs of a brilliant player. He's got a fantastic touch. But I must say, I'm impressed in the way he looks more mature and more manly. He looks like he wants to put himself about now. It looks like he wants that position in the team. He wants to play that number 9. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I was not disappointed with him today, but I felt he could have done a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot to be desired from a lot of people, but yeah, I completely agree. He sort of looked a little bit lost in comparison to the previous game, and just overall, there were a lot of people who just really could have done with a lot more effort in the game. I felt like it was quite a lazy performance overall, and they sort of resigned to the fact that we had just been neutralised every time going forward, and they were sort of not okay with it, but that's just how they saw the game going and didn't really fight to make that much of an impact. And in previous years, we've had players make those impacts, and we've had players just like grab the game by the scruff of the neck and really take it to a team, and we didn't really have that today. So
yeah,
we lacked that. Like an Eden Hazard, for example, like how many times did he just grab the game by the balls and just say, no, we're not getting a 0-0 draw on the back.
I'll tell you what, though, I do see a bit of that in Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't know about you. When he came on, he wants to run at players, he wants to take them on, he always looks to go forward. I don't know about you, but do you see a bit of that in Callum Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah, he wants to take the game to people. That he's a grafter for it. Like he wants to like impact the game on his own. He wants to be that person. He's not scared to bomb forward and know he has to chase back. And like obviously they were talking about it today on the commentary about like sprinting back to make sure we were in a solid shape. I think a lot of times we get restricted going forward because of that fact, because they don't want to be caught out of position. Because obviously on a counter-attack against a 3 centre-back formation, a counter-attack against that, they throw 4 forward, and our wing-backs, particularly if we play like Alonso and Hudson-Odoi at wing-back, they'd be pretty much in the box. So then we're exposed to three centre-halves against 4 attackers, and that it becomes problematic. And I feel like that restricts us going forward overall. I just saw that we have 7 audio messages. I imagine they're all from K-Man. Should we give them a listen?
We'll get into it. Should we? I was just thinking, is there anything else we want to touch on just before we finish that section, and we can listen to these messages just before starting the match? I think we've pretty much touched enough. I'm going to speak about Mendy in a minute. Just a quick question, just to round up that section. Do you reckon Havertz has done enough to start against Atletico, or for me, I think the go with Giroud, just experienced player in the big game. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think you take the man who won us the last leg. I think you go with one of the top scorers in the Champions League this season. Obviously, if it wasn't for Haaland going absolutely mental in the Champions League this year, I think Giroud would be up there as probably the top goal scorer. Obviously, that's heavily assisted by the fact that I've got game pedigree. Havertz just doesn't. Don't get me wrong. Definitely give him a run out, but start with Giroud, start with Old Faithful, and just see where we start, mate. I think he's earned his start in that game specifically. Obviously, he's not started the last few games in the league, but the Champions League, I think he deserves a start based on his performances.
Yeah, I agree. I'm surprised we haven't played more of him, to be honest. Surprised he didn't come on today. But I think that obviously just shows Tuchel's faith in Havertz. And anyway, I think that sort of concludes that section. There wasn't really much to talk about today. There was a bit of a lack of chances. Just 2 very solid teams today. Well played, Leeds. I think we shall listen to, the Cayman's messages.
Analysing the game. Okay, I'm going to give my player ratings. I think Edouard Mendy was the man of the match, in my opinion. I'm going to give him an 8. Christensen, I'm going to give a 7. I felt he had a good game. I think he's had a good game ever since Tuchel's come in, to be honest. Rudiger, I'm going to give a 7. Chilwell was poor. I'm going to be honest. I like Chilwell, but I felt this game was a bit poor. No doubt he was taking selfies with Bamford after the game as well, which, no comment. Ziyech was poor. I mean, it's just, you know what, lads, it's just, I don't have any words. That was a poor performance, but you know what, we're still going to get top four, and that's that. We're still going to get top four. We're not going to finish bottom half like a certain London club. Jurgen Klopp FC. What else was I going to say? I'll think of what I was going to say and I'll come back to you.
I think he was spot on there with some of it. Maybe a little bit harsh on Chilwell. Thought Chilwell started off all right. Then as the game went on, he did get a little bit poor. But I think he had a good chance as well, which I don't even know how he didn't hit the target. Any comments on that, Kieran?
Definitely. I think he hit the nail on the head. A lot of points. I'm with you a bit on Chilwell, but I do think he could have done a bit more. Maybe this was a game where we could have used like a Marcus Alonso, that a bit more creativity, more of a desire to get into the box, more of a push going forward. But we'll take the game as it was. There's nothing that can be changed about it now. Obviously, Tuchel's got faith in Chilwell. He's, after starting Alonso to begin with, he's like put his faith in Chile, as he would for a £50 million defender. But more could have been done, yeah. But I agree overall. The performance, I'm with him on the performance wasn't great. So there's not really any single player we can single out that was horrific, because we didn't lose at the end of the day. We're still unbeaten under Tuchel. We're still driving forward, and like you said, top four. Like obviously there are teams with games in hand behind us, but I think we're pretty safe overall. Like top four, I think we've got a lot easier run of games. Obviously, we'll get into in the next few weeks, but we've got a lot easier run of games than we've had recently, and we've pulled out some massive results. So we just need to take today as a kick up the arse and take it as we need to be battering Sheffield United, West Brom, teams like that. Like we need to. Leeds are a fairly good side, so it's not the worst case scenario that we didn't beat them, but we should be going on to beat more teams of that nature. And this won't be my stat of the match, but it is a statistic that I found quite not worrying, but quite interesting in quite a negative way, that Tuchel now has more 0-0 draws already than Frank Lampard did in 18 months, and he's only been here since February. 3 0-0 draws. Lampard only ever had 2.
Not a bad thing. But I'm obviously being a former centre back. I think it's imperative to have a strong defence. You look at Leeds; they score goals every week. Well, not this week. They usually score goals every week, and quite a lot of them. And they're sort of bottom half of the table. Don't get me wrong. Coming up from a championship, that's a brilliant from those guys. But for me, you don't win leagues without a solid defence. Anyway, I think we got 6 more messages, so we're gonna have to get through some of these.
I think going forward, Tuchel should just stick to the team that he knows best, and that's probably where we should go from that. Pulisic, I don't see him getting many games. Kante, realistically, I love Kante, but I think the way Tuchel's played with Kovacic and Jorginho in the midfield, I think that's probably the best kind of option. And realistically, up front, I think Havertz is good as that number 9. Werner, mate, he needs to start scoring goals, but overall, it's a poor performance.
I think some of that was right, wasn't it? Some of it I do disagree with. I thought Kante was pretty in a game like today where there's a lot of sort of countering. I think that sort of is the sort of game made for him, really.
Absolute engine room, Kante. That you are right. That's the sort of game that suits him. He's the engine room. He's up and down the pitch non-stop all game. He's one of those players that won't ever be exposed when a game is back and forth, and it really takes a lot out of you. That a lot of players get exposed that way when it shows their fitness levels aren't like at the peak of like professional athletes, professional footballers, particularly Premier League footballers, the best league in the world, the most competitive, the most unpredictable league. And Kante is one of those players who every single thing that he does is defined by like his work rate. He never stops. So I agree. This game was made for him, and it's just a shame we couldn't get more done. We'll rattle through the next five, and obviously we'll get on to your player spotlight that you picked up today, Mendy. So
What I will say is, have you seen the state of the Leeds changing rooms? The away, obviously we were the away side. Have you seen? Did you see the way they treated our away dressing room? It was absolutely disgraceful, mate. The chairs were not even Premier League quality. They weren't even chairs, mate. They were like seats out of a wedding function, mate, or they nicked out of a skip somewhere in Leeds. It was absolutely disgusting, mate. The chairs were they weren't even the same colour. Some were like mix and match, mate, like they got them out of fucking Asda. Disgraceful. So yeah, I hate Leeds, mate. I hate Bielsa. Bielsa's a fraud as well, mate.
I think that did make me chuckle, but I think the Bielsa being a fraud thing is a bit of a bold claim. I think he's a fantastic manager. I think what he's done with Leeds is absolutely incredible. Obviously, he had a bit of a controversy going back with Super Frank
Spygate
in his early days, but I think he's a fantastic manager. I think he's done a lot for Leeds. He's got them playing a particular way, which you don't see from a lot of teams, but it seems to work for them. And he's brought out the best in some players, like Calvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford.
They said that after the game, didn't they? They said that after the game that Rio said they had a chat with Calvin Phillips. I'm pretty sure he said, and he said I wouldn't have played for England if it wasn't for that manager. So like all the players adore him. They love the style of football he plays. That's evident because every single one of their players puts in 100% every game.
Yeah, they are a team of workhorses. It was a shame, really. I think we would have been in a spot of bother if Bamford obviously didn't unfortunately go off injured, and obviously wishing him the best and hoping his speedy recovery. It's nothing too serious. But it sort of, to a lesser extent, Leeds have obviously shipped out a lot of money for them on Rodrigo, and he got the Callum Hudson-Odoi treatment. I meant to mention this earlier, but he's obviously brought on for Bamford, and then he was brought off later on in the game. I just think
apparently for not the first time this season.
Yeah,
apparently
I
that's
heard
not
that
the first
too.
time this season. So.
Which him and Couch probably have a chat after the game. What it feels like he's subbed off after being brought on more than once, and I just think that obviously they threatened a fair amount, but we would have been in a lot more trouble if Bamford stayed on the pitch. I think Rodrigo's pants. He didn't really do much. I think what the best thing for us to do now would just be to get onto the player spotlight. Obviously, give you the floor to talk about Edouard Mendy, our brick wall at the back, as you said, and we'll get onto a few more of the messages in a little while.
Yeah, great shout. Do you want me to do player spotlight now or start the match?
Yeah, we'll
don't know which way around.
Start the match out. I've got a pretty interesting one from the old reliable Opta Joe. Again, did some digging around there.
Battery pays.
Definitely. What have you got then, mate? Well, what's your start of the game?
Thomas Tuchel has already surpassed Frank Lampard's longest Premier League unbeaten run as Chelsea manager, which was 9 games from September to December 2020. Tuchel has 10. And then it's the first time Chelsea have kept 4 consecutive Premier League clean sheets since December 2017, which was under Antonio Conte.
What a time. It's quite interesting, obviously talking about that he's already surpassed his longest unbeaten run, and funnily enough, that the unbeaten run came in the same season.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
So the
start shows how bad that blip was, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, really, how he was sort of crucified after such a good spell and a good run of games that he's within 2 months after that long win streak, unbeaten win streak, whatever it was, that he still lost his job. The one I've got today is I have one regarding all of the changes Tuchel's been making to the side. Obviously, we touched on it a lot, that he tinkers with the side a lot. There's not really a consistent starting 11 that we have. So 39 changes he has made since he joined the club as manager. He has made 39 starting 11 changes overall. So like the team that starts the game before, 39 different times players have been either in different positions or like players that will start one game be benched. Obviously, we've seen with Havertz starting up front. We've seen Werner starting up front. We've seen Abraham. We've seen Giroud. We've seen 4 different centre forwards. People playing different 10 positions. We've seen midfield pairings all over the place. Our back three has been like we've had Thiago Silva in, we've had Rudiger, Christensen, Zuma. The only real consistency we've had is Azpilicueta seems to have been in all of those back threes.
Yeah.
39 changes. Like I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realise it was that mental, really. But it's quite interesting that no team has made more changes to their starting lineup than we have this season, and that is just based on Tuchel's run. That's not including the starting 11s that Lampard put out.
Yeah. See, for me, I feel like I was thinking about this earlier. Like, obviously, our 2010 team was very good. Our 2005 team, one of the best of Premier League all times. But like, if we can get like this team playing to the standards that each individual can play in terms of squads, I think this will be one of the best squads that Chelsea have had for a long, long time. Just who we can bring in and whatnot. I just think the depth is really, really, really quite promising.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've seen with some teams this season that they've fallen apart because they just have a set starting 11. They don't really have any players available for change. Obviously, Liverpool thrown Henderson and Fabinho and whoever in at centre back, and they've struggled. Obviously, after losing Van Dijk, Gomez spent a bit of time out. Obviously, Trent's had a few injuries. Robertson's had a few injuries, and they seem a bit stuck without that back four. They brought Kabak in and the Greek left back. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing his name. Greek's not my favourite language anyway.
Don't worry, I got that reference.
Yeah, good man. And they've struggled, but we have adaptable players, but we have versatile players who can play a variety of different positions, and we're quite fortunate really with the changes. But yeah, I think you're right. If they can play to how they should be and how we've seen them, if Pulisic can play like he did at the end of last year, if Havertz can play like he did at the end of last year, like they read out a ridiculous stat on BT. It was something like his last 16 games at the end of last season, he scored 13 goals for Leverkusen.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of hoping
the games we got coming up as well. It's promising.
Yeah, he can really shine in games like that. Obviously, his only multi-goal performance he's had this year was the hat-trick against Barnsley in the Cup very early on. So hopefully we can sort of expose the weaknesses in teams that have been struggling this year, like Sheffield United and West Brom and teams like that. And obviously we've still got Man City coming up, but we need to really just push on and do what we did under Conte and under Mourinho and Ancelotti, where we wouldn't let teams off the hook and have teams like that 2-0. We need players coming off the bench, scoring 1, scoring 2, like battering teams. Like obviously, going back, I think it was 2010 when we beat Wigan 8-0 on the last day of the season, and Drogba comes out and scores a hat trick and gets the golden boot. Like we need to be that vicious with teams. We need to take no prisoners essentially and use our depth, keep people fit, keep people ready to play, and not be overworked and fatigued. So it's very promising. We just need everybody to sort of step up and do their part, really. Obviously, we've had some people really doing it, but we need everybody to sort of get on the same page with that.
Yeah, if you look at Man City, Pep's obviously every fantasy manager's worst nightmare, but he makes changes every week as well. They've just got immense squad depth as well, and look how they're going in the league. They're absolutely smashing it. So if we can just do something like that, well, that's what I think we're capable of. I don't think we won't be as good as Man City for a few years. But if we can just keep on closing the gap each year, I'm happy with that. But anyway, moving on to the player spotlight. Edouard, is it Edouard Mendy? Is that how you say his name? Edouard,
like
Edouard.
French Eddie that plays for Celtic.
French Eddie that plays for Celtic, like that. We got Senegalese Eddie. He's Senegalese, isn't he?
Yeah, he is indeed.
Right. These are some little stats they showed after BT Sport, which I'm sure you probably would have seen. 31 games, 18 goals conceded, 19 clean sheets. That's just outstanding stats there from the big man.
It's absolutely ridiculous, mate. It's reminiscent, obviously, not to the same extent of that outrageous stat that Oblak had that we touched on previewing the Atletico Madrid first leg. That he had, like, I remember seeing it on Twitter for the first time a few years ago, where he had something like 76 clean sheets and 74 goals conceded in like 5 years for Atletico Madrid. So if Senegalese Eddie can do the job like that, then it's not too bad. And we've saved about 90 million and got a goalkeeper producing similar things. Yeah, those stats really are a testament to how much of a, like you said earlier, it's the best way to describe brick wall he's been. He's just like pulled out some great performances. And really, when we've had like a choppy defence, like the worst nightmare for a goalie is having your centre halves in and out of the squad, like changing formations, changing tactics, changing the structure of the team. And he's just been the one constant, like keeping us in games, stopping us from going behind in games where like maybe we haven't really kicked on yet, where I found a lot of times we've been susceptible to starting games slowly and he's been forced to make saves that if Kepa was in there, maybe we'd go 1-0 down.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean there, mate. He's just been immense, hasn't he, Eddie? He's just a shot stopper. I think back in the day, you would just get one type of keeper, and that was the shot stopper. You know, they'd all boot it long and whatnot. But now you get sort of players like Kepa. He's one. Edison, obviously, he's better than Kepa. Don't get me wrong, but he's another one who are just ball playing keepers. So for me, you get the ball playing keeper, or you get the shot stopper, and Edouard Mendy is, or whatever his name is just a shot stopper. Because I do get a bit nervous, not going to lie, when he gets the ball at his feet. I think he's got some work to do there. But for me, I'm not really bothered about that by a keeper. I sometimes think that we faff about with the ball too much, you know, playing out from the back. I absolutely love playing out from the back, but there's sometimes where you just need to put your foot through it. And it's just like, it's not worth the risk. Whereas you get, like I said, you just got Kepa, who you're probably going to rip my head off saying this, I actually don't think he's a bad keeper. I just don't think he's a Premier League keeper. Like Premier League, teams put crosses into the box to your Chris Woods and Ashley Barnes at Burnley, and like Kepa's smaller than them. Like he's not commanding, can't come from crosses. I think he would be fine in the Italian league and the Spanish league, but just in the Premier League, he's just not made for that game. Whereas Mendy is just a big bloke and he's just dominant.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. I did find it quite funny where you rip your head off, but that's the suggestion I was going to make. Like teams in the Premier League, especially teams that have come up from the Championship or traditionally Championship sides, like you said, like a Burnley, like back in the day, like a Stoke, they just pile the ball into the box. And obviously, we have seen other keepers for other clubs struggle with it. David De Gea, obviously, he went through a couple of years where he was absolutely quality, but he's a shot stopper. But you put a cross in early days for him, and even recently, and still to this day, he's 28. Kepa's still young, but he's 5-6 years older than Kepa, and he shits himself every time the ball comes into the box. Like he looks scared to go up and get it. He looks scared to come out and punch a corner. Mendy's not like that. Mendy's got that confidence where I feel like he just wants to go after the ball. He puts his body up on the line. He throws himself out there just to get to the ball. Obviously, in the Everton game, I think there were 2 or 3 occasions where he won fouls from corners where players like Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin were on the keeper, and he's gone for it, and they're obstructing him and fouling him, but he's ready to go to the ball. If that was a Kepa, or a goalie of a similar sort of play style to him, he would have shied away from it a bit, half committed to it, and that's I think a testament to how Mendy sort of commanded that defence and played the way he has. Is he doesn't do half a job. He doesn't half commit to it. He commits to it fully. And it's been very few occasions where he's been caught out for it. Obviously, he's had a couple of games where he's made a few mistakes, but he just puts his body on the line. He puts himself out there to really just go for it, and he'll deal with whatever happens afterwards. He's not scared of the consequence, whereas Kepa had that problem of the confidence. He's scared.
I think it was a confidence thing, wasn't it? Yeah. I think it was a confidence thing with Kepa, to be honest.
Definitely. I think Mendy's been absolutely fantastic. The statistics obviously speak to it, but it's just, you feel, I don't know about you, but I just feel overall more comfortable with him in goal. Like I don't think about mistakes when he plays. But then Kepa comes in for the Barnsley game, the FA Cup, and I'm like, oh God, when's he going to make a mistake? I don't have that worry. I don't have that uncertainty when Mendy's in there. So it really is just, it's like a cultural difference, really. Like the culture of the team feels different with him in goal. Like I feel not to the same extent, because I personally think Petr Cech's the best goalie to ever play in the Premier League. But like him, like when we had him in goal, I never once thought about a mistake ever being made. I never once thought when the ball's played back to him, he's just going to spoon it straight to the striker and the ball's going to go in. Same with when we had Courtois. And then obviously we lose Courtois to Madrid. Kepa comes in. And I think we were strung up on the fact that we had two of the best keepers in the world when they were playing for us. We went from Cech to Courtois. We got rid of Cech for Courtois, who, like I said, for me, the best keeper to ever play in the Premier League. We got rid of him for a young up-and-coming keeper who obviously had been on loan out at Atletico Madrid, put in some wonderful performances. Obviously, he was part of the side that beat us in the Super Cup final, the European Super Cup final. And we went from those two excellent keepers to a young, unestablished, very expensive keeper. It's the pressure, the price tag. It's the price tag on him. Who he's following. It's Cech's consulting with the club. And like you're thinking, he's got to be able to teach him everything and teach him all this stuff, but you just won't get another Petr Cech. And I think he felt that pressure, and it really affected his confidence. And we've had to bring Mendy in. And honestly, I feel bad for Kepa a little bit, but you know, nobody's safe really in the modern game. If somebody does your job better than you, you'll be out the side quicker than you got into it, and it doesn't matter how much you cost. Before, I think teams would force it. They would force the expensive player, like sort of what we did with Torres to begin with. He was the £50 million striker, not the world record fee at the time, the Premier League record fee at the time, and we sort of forced him into the lineup. But when we took that pressure off and we had other strikers in, and we were relying on Drogba and in the side, and we took the pressure off, Torres would pop up with a goal here and there. I think it's the pressure for Kepa, and Mendy's put the performances in, so he deserves the start.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned State there. Can you imagine Kepa against a flipping prime Rory Delap? Jesus, I just couldn't.
Rory Delap, Ricardo Fuller, and Peter Crouch all going in on him. They will have a field day. Peter Crouch would be the top. If Peter Crouch played against keepers like Kepa and De Gea every week, he'd be the top goal scorer in the Premier League of all time. He'd have a field day. He would just be all over him. You just have, like you said, Rory Delap. You'd have players like Phil Bardsley, who played for Sunderland. I'm not sure if he ever played. Just an old man just slinging crosses in there, putting them under pressure. Like, no successful team in Europe really has ever gone far with a shithouse goalkeeper. It's always been someone reliable, someone you can trust. You look at the best teams in the world. You look at, for me, the best team in the world, Bayern Munich. They have one of the best keepers of all time. You look at Juventus of old, Buffon. Like, they were consistency. Like, you didn't go into a game testing those goalies. You didn't go into a game saying, I'm going to pop one from 40 yards, see if his confidence is down and I can catch him out. And like, people won't do that against Mendy, but you bring Kepa into the side and then teams immediately, they get way more aggressive with us. And then we're worrying. The defenders are worrying about giving the ball back to Kepa, putting him under pressure. Like with Mendy, we're not afraid to boot it out for a corner. But if you watch when we played against Barnsley, we were deliberately just booting out for a throw-in. Like when maybe that wasn't what they were giving the ball back to the other team, trying to get out for a throw-in because they didn't want Kepa being under pressure from a corner. But I think Mendy overall, obviously, we spoke a lot about the comparison of keepers, but it's a lot to say really when you bring a keeper in for a modern day price of 20 odd million. That's very cheap, and Kepa is the most expensive goalkeeper in the world. Well, second most. Sorry to Alisson, and it's just a testament to Mendy. He's come in, he's cool as you like if you think about it. Like if you look at the way he carries himself, it's a bit like Kante, if you get me. They just carry themselves so there's not a care in the world.
Get on with their work. Yeah, they just get on with it, don't they?
I've come to do the job. I'm gonna do the job. I'm gonna fucking do it well, and I'm not gonna say anything about it after. I'm just gonna get, which I think is great. It's really for a lot of players in our team. and got us off the hook today. Like obviously he made that great tip save early on in the first half, and I just think overall a brilliant signing, and arguably the keeper of the season this year. But obviously between him, I think Nick Pope and Ederson, they've been the three standouts this season.
Yeah, I don't think Ederson's really had a lot to do, though, has he? But,
no, not really. Well,
just always someone.
Diaz there, mate. I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
The keeper would have much to do.
Exactly, mate. Anyway, we'll try and listen to, before we go on to our final section, game against Atletico, shall we listen to a couple of these messages?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
And to everyone that is listening to this, whether you're a Chelsea fan or not, get following the two lads here. Get following Kieran Cassidy and Johnny, the Juice. Yeah. Get following them. We'll be bringing you all the content. I don't know about you lads' opinion, but I think stereo needs to have the option of having more than just two people on a stereo. I think they should have between 2 to 4 people have an option, so there's more interaction. You know, get my opinion, because we all know, mate, my opinion, I'm a footballing mastermind, mate. So yeah, stereo, if you're listening, get it fucking done.
What a hero.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the promotion, and obviously if you can share this with any of your mates that are Chelsea fans, football fans, whatever, and we'll definitely take it into consideration. I think that's quite a good idea. Obviously we spoke with a few mates from uni that Chelsea fans, can get a few more people, and obviously K-Man's been the guy that's been listening, obviously here with us live, sending messages in, interacting. So it'd be good to get a few more opinions, throwing things out there, and just talk more about the Chelsea, really.
Absolutely. I'll play his next message. We've got 6 more to burn through.
Yeah, Rudiger, big up my man Rudiger, mate. Like Rudiger, Ronaldinho, what a man, mate.
Right, I don't know what that message was, so on to the next.
Come on, you Blues.
Well, that's a new one, DJ Andrew.
Yep, let's go, mate. Let's smash Atletico in the second leg. Let's get into that next leg. Hopefully we get Liverpool next. Or should I say Liverpool. We smash them at Anfield like we did in the Premier League. And yeah, let's win the Champions League.
I think that brings us perfectly on to our next section. I think we might as well start it now. Next game against Atletico Madrid. Huge game. Last game was actually before the game. It was probably the first game in a while that I'd actually genuinely felt nervous about. I was tummy tingling, I had to have a few beers to calm the nerves. But we battered them, 1-0 lead, and away goal to take into second leg. So more of last time, please, lads. But we are missing Georgie and Mount. Huge blows. Can we make it through without them, Kieran?
Obviously, I'm a little bit worried. Mason Mount's obviously been our standout player this year, and Jorginho, as much as it pains me to say, I obviously had a huge vendetta against him for a long time. He really has pushed on with the new manager, as we've spoken about to no end, about how his impact has really positively influenced the team. But I think if we set up with a Kovacic and a Kante midfield, as we will very likely do, that's the grit we need. We need grit against teams like that. Obviously, they had a bit of a blip in the league as well. They were back on good form. A couple of wins on the bounce now. They had a good win in midweek, a 2-0 win. Suarez back on the score sheet, and he's obviously a very worrying factor in that team. He ran.
He just needs one chance, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is one of those strikers that is and I wouldn't say this to exaggerate, but he's like a game changer. He's a generational goal scorer. Like what the things he did at Liverpool, what he's done at Barca, and now what he's gone on to do at Atletico Madrid. He is one of those players that he will just turn on a dime and that's it. You've gone. Like he's not rapid. He's not a Aubameyang, an Adama Traore, one of those players who's an absolute burner, but he's so good with the ball at his feet, and he creates an outrageous amount of space from seemingly nothing. That, like you said, he needs one opportunity, one flash, just to look up and see a gap, an opening, or anything, and he can really change the game. So we need to sort of do what they did to Havertz today and just neutralise him. I think we take him out of the game and we put the pressure on the other players going forward, like Carrasco, Correa, Koke, players who aren't as proficient in front of goal. Obviously, Carrasco's having a very good season this year, but we neutralise him, and then I think we take a lot out of the game, and I think that's what we did really well in the first leg. And we just need to be gritty and solid, and if we can pinch a goal when we can, like whenever the opportunity presents itself, we need to be clinical. We don't need any of what we had with, obviously, Bernard's missed opportunities against Everton. Obviously, we were still winning that game, so in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. But this is the big time, and that's why I think, like we discussed, we need Giroud. We need the man who's going to throw himself, diving header across the box, get to it, really just throw himself towards the ball and try and nick a goal. You look at the goal, the amazing goal he scored in the last game. That all come from he didn't ever give up when the ball popped in the air. He saw that ball go up, and he had the confidence. He had the bravado to go, yep, overhead kick, this is going in anyway. Like he has that instinct. He has that big game mentality. Obviously, he showed up for us in the Europa League final also. And I just think we need to just be solid. We need to set up very, not rigid, but very professional and very compact at the back. We need big efforts in midfield, and obviously N'Golo gives us that every week. But we need Kovacic to really put a shift in. And then going forward, I think with Mount being out, I think Havertz might get a start up there maybe in place of a Mount.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to say, who do you reckon will start in their place? Jorginho, and so we think Kovacic is now nailed on. Do you think Havertz will start instead of Mount?
Yeah, I think so. I think just based on what he can do, and he can be more of a goal scorer like a Mount opposed to like Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi, who are more wingers. They're driving in diagonally, putting balls into the box, taking defenders on. I think Havertz is more direct. He's not going to, because of sort of his stature and his size, he's not going to do all the skills in the world and go for all the nutmegs. And he's a fairly quick player. Like you mentioned it last week, I'm pretty sure. Deceptively, he's quite quick for the size of him, but he's not that blistering Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Werner pace. I think it will be Havertz or Werner. They'll look for somebody who is a more natural finisher, a more natural scorer, and they will hope that they can nick the goal and give us a comfortable 2-0 aggregate lead. Obviously, we've got the huge advantage of the away goal, but yeah, I think if I had to go based on recent, I would say Havertz and Kovacic. Really, we don't have much else. We have like Billy Gilmore, obviously, in midfield, but I don't think he'll get the start over Kovacic.
No, definitely not.
I'm not even entirely sure if he's completely fit at the minute, but I think Kovacic is nailed on, and then I think Havertz will potentially get the start up there with Giroud starting up top. And then it's just whether Werner plays or we have a Pulisic or a Hudson-Odoi up there as sort of like a winger. As such,
yeah, I was thinking this because I think Reece James will come in. I think Tuchel kind of gave away some of his ideas, I think, today with his team selection. Not that I can comment because I've done 5 predictions for the Instagram and got 5 wrong. So not that I'm a great judge of his team selection, but I think he rested Reece today. That's why Pulisic started wing back. So I think he'll start at wing back again. I know Cal played there last time, but I think Reece will play there this time just for a bit more defensive solidity. And then that means I think Cal would have played today if he wasn't going to start on Wednesday. So I think Cal will start with Timo and Giroud. I think you're right though. I think Havertz might be a bit more of a defensive option, but I think he'll at least start Cal. Which kind of leads me on to my next question, because I was going to ask, what do you think we'll see from Atletico? Because the last time they played a 6-3-1, so they're not going to be able to do that this time, you'd think. So I think maybe if they step up, I think we can just get them with that Cal explosive pace, that Timo pace, and then we've just got the experience of Giroud. I don't know. What do you think we'll see from them?
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about the lineup. Obviously, Havertz. Obviously, we spoke about like his production in the last few games and whatever. But if we're going to cater the team to Giroud, we really do need like a Hudson. And I think you're right. Reece James getting a rest day is essential if we're going to start Giroud. I think he is a perfect player to complement Giroud going into the game. He will put a cross in, an early cross in. He'll dart down the line and like loft the ball up and let Giroud get up there for it. And I think if we are going to go with Giroud and we want a team to fit his style and his for his best interests, we need Callum Hudson-Odoi, somebody who will size a defender up, take him on, and then stick the ball in the box. I think Hudson-Odoi has been one of the best complementary players for Giroud. So I think he should get a start. He's been a bit more effective than Pulisic.
He was very good against Atletico as well, wasn't he, Cal? I know it was a different position, but he was very good against them last time, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty solid. I think he's still figuring out where he plays best, because you see flashes of like great performances from him at left wing, right wing back, as like a second number 10 or something like that. There's a lot where he does well, and there's no real standout of where we can put him. But I think if we are going to start Giroud and we are going to play that old school, pump the ball into the box, put some crosses in, and really just set up solid defensively, then I think we need players to complement that. And I think Cal is the best option for that because of his versatility and his work rate, like we said, like about how he is just like he's an animal about getting back and helping out the defence, even when he is playing a bit further forward and not playing wing back. I don't know what your thoughts are of like how we should set up if we come to sort of a consensus that Giroud deserves a start. Would you set up with players who can score the goals, or would you set up more with people catering to Giroud's best attributes?
I think catering to Giroud more because I think just based on the current form of our players, we don't actually like Timo and Kai have proven that they can score goals, but not at the moment. So we don't actually have that actual goal scorer at the moment. So I think we've got to fit to Giroud. I think he in games like this where teams are going to be very solid. You know, they're not going to make too many mistakes. He just works well. So you can just rely on him. He'll just hold the ball up. He showed he can score in the Champions League, especially against Spanish clubs. You know, I just think we've got to work around him. If Giroud has a good game on Wednesday night, I think the whole team will have a good game. That's just how integral I think he is to the team.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I completely agree with you. I think if he puts in a good shift and he puts them under the same kind of pressure he has put other teams under, then we stand in very good stead to really frustrate them. He's a player you don't come across much. Like, I know you touched on it before. He's a player you don't really come across much. Like he'll get in there and he'll throw himself in the mixer and he'll be big and physical, and like it's not a turn of pace or any skills with Giroud. It's like, give me the ball, I'll hold it up, play it back out wide, and you put it in there. And no matter where the cross is going, he's going to throw himself at it and at least make an effort for it. So I think catering to him and putting them under pressure against something they might not face that often is integral to our success. Like we will put them under pressure if we play the way we did the last time and we provide for Giroud. And if everybody puts a shift in the way they should, then I think we'll be all right. I think all the pressure's on them now. I think the pressure is off us.
Yeah.
We came in as the underdogs. We were spoken about, obviously, as we touched on before, as the team getting shafted in the round of 16 draw. Everybody looked at it and goes, oh shit, Chelsea have got Atletico Madrid. Well, they're out. But obviously, there are a lot more definite results in the knockout stages. There were a lot more teams where you looked at it and thought, well, they're not going to beat them. But with us, we were in that conversation. If we got shafted with the draw, we really got the worst draw we could have got. So I just think that if the pressure's off us and we play confident and we play like we have nothing to lose, then we will really excel and we'll go through and hopefully make a run.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger picture to it as well, like how important this game, not important, but how big this game is for some of our players. When you look at our squad, we don't actually have that much experienced players. I look at experienced players, you say Thiago Silva and Aspilicueta, probably N'Golo Kante, Giroud, there's four. But you look at the players which are young coming through, if this will do the world of good for their confidence if they can beat an Atletico Madrid side, hard to break down, that solid team, top of La Liga. They can beat them. This will do sort of the world of good for your Mason Mount, your Reece James, even your Ben Chilwells. Kovacic isn't old. I know he's done a lot in his time so far, but he's 26, so he's still got the peak of his career to come. Same with Christensen. He's about 24, 25, peak of his career to come. Same with Timo and even Havertz. It's a big game for their current stage of their careers, in my opinion, and it'll be just fascinating. Hopefully, it can kick them on for the rest of the season. Even if we do get a tough draw and get out next round, hopefully this will just show that there's a quality there and that the boys can do it. But we shall have to wait and see.
Definitely, mate. Definitely, I think you are right in saying that it will do a world of good for the young players' confidence. Like you hit the nail on the head there. We do have inexperience. We don't have teams when we've made runs at the Champions League before, where we've got your Lampards, your Drogbas, the real leaders. We had a team full of experienced leaders. We're signing experienced players into the team who have been there, done that. They've been to the big party at the end of the season. They've lifted the major trophies. Obviously, Timo Werner was at Leipzig, and yeah, they played well, but like they've not touched on that big game, and they've not got close to those big games. They've always gone into the games as the underdogs, and like Havertz the same. Obviously, they got quite far in the Europa League last season, but that's not the same as the Champions League. And like you said, Thiago Silva, obviously, we've got a few of the more experienced boys in the team that have been there a while, that have been to the big games, have won league titles with us, and what have you. But Thiago Silva's the only one who's been to the big game, really. When you think about it in club football, the game everybody wants to be playing in is the Champions League final. Like you can win however many league titles you want, but everybody is still asking the question of a City, for example, Atletico Madrid, when are they going to win the Champions League? And I think that stands us in good stead. Every time Atletico Madrid come out of the blocks steaming ahead of everybody else, they come smooth out of the blocks, they have a great start to the year. Every single time, nobody says, oh, they're going to win the La Liga. It's like, that doesn't matter anymore. It's, are they going to bottle the Champions League again? And I think that's another factor of pressure on them, and a massive bit of pressure on Simeone is, can he actually get it done in the Champions League? Because he's had a handful of chances almost, and every time he's been unfortunate to come up against some great Real Madrid sides, a great Bayern sides, some great Barcelona sides over the years. But can he get it done? And I think we have no pressure. We have a newish manager. We've got a team full of young players. They're just going to go out there and work their asses off, and that allows us to be confident because we don't have the expectations they do.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we're still an up and coming side, in my opinion. They've been there and done that before, so kind of they probably would have thought before this that this was probably one of their best times to probably win it. Touching it before that, in my opinion, Man City and Bayern Munich are streets ahead of any other side in the world at the moment. And then below that, anyone could beat anyone, in my opinion. I think obviously PSG have Mbappe and Neymar, two class players, but I don't think they're completely there. So yeah, I think what you said there was pretty good. I think Atletico, this was as good a chance as any to especially with the form of Chelsea, Super Frank just being sacked. It could have gone terribly wrong, but no, I think it's going to be a fascinating tie. I think that probably just rounds up perfectly this current episode. Still got 3 messages to go through, so I'll quickly blapse through them really quick. 1 second, let's go into this.
Feed the Scousers.
Kieran, mate, me and you are going to follow it big time. Bielsa is not a great manager. He's the most overhyped fraud in the history of football. Name me a manager that gets as much praise as him when he concedes 6 goals to Man United. When they got beat 6-2 by Man United, everyone was praising him as if he just won the treble on the same day, mate. As if he just won the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup and the World Cup in the same day, mate. He's a fraud, yeah? He got beat consecutively 4-1 by Leicester, and then he got beat by Palace 4-1. A team managed by Roy Hodgson, Dinosaur FC, he can't even score. Crystal Meth FC, mate, they can't even score. Such an embarrassment in itself, mate. It's easy to play against Leeds. Just let them attack and then boom, hit them on the defence and boom, you've won. He's a fraud. Kieran, I can't believe you like him, mate. Honest to God, I cannot believe you like Bielsa. Really? Mate. And also, I hope Leeds get relegated next season as well. They're shit. Fuck Leeds.
Right, one more message, Kieran, and then I will get your thoughts on that.
Anyway, lads, come on Chelsea, come on you Blues, up the Chelsea. I'm going to go now because Kieran's actually pissed me off with that comment about Marcelo Bielsa. I'm annoyed, and yeah, that's that. Johnny, good catching up with you, mate. Up the Blues. Kieran, as much as you pissed me off there, up the Blues. Yeah, catch up soon, boys. See you soon.
Cheers for the support, man. Kieran, any reply to that?
I think you just got to look at him as a tactician, as a manager. He's dealing with a newly promoted team, a team that's been in the shit for the last few years. Obviously, when they got relegated from the Premier League, they spiraled out of control. They were the original team, really, to do it. I'm just running through this really quickly. Obviously, I know we need to wrap up. But like, you look at teams like Blackburn, Bolton, teams like that have just bottled it, gone to League One. Pompey. Leeds were the first side to do that. They went out of the Premier League, went all the way down to League One, and they were shy. I think he's really brought them up. And you give him a team like I don't want to like compare it to like teams that have already got great managers. And funnily enough, the two teams I was going to mention both have ex-Chelsea managers in Spurs and Everton with Ancelotti and Mourinho. But you give him a Man United, for example, Bielsa. I think he does wonders for that team. I think he'd make players like Fred a lot better than they are. I think he would get. I think Harry Maguire. I personally think Harry Maguire is quite a good player anyway. But I think he'd get the best out of players. He's a donkey.
You got out of me as well as Cayman.
Like, I think that he really can get the best out of players. I think like Man United have a lot of players that need a manager to get the best out of them. The only one who's really benefited from the faith and getting a lot out of him at Man United is Luke Shaw. But like Martial and Mason Greenwood, I think if they had a manager like Bielsa, I think their consistency and their standards would be through the roof, mate, personally. So apologies. This is the hill I'm going to die on. So.
I just like the way that they play their style of football no matter who they play against. It's like, this is our way. Like, just come at us, but fair play to them. I think that's a good place to end the poddy. If you guys listening on YouTube would like to follow live like our man Cayman, follow our Instagram, and we post on our stories when we're just about to go live on stereo. So you can come along, send your questions in, send your messages in, and we'll try and get through them like you've heard today. Please continue to support. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And anything you've got to add, Kieran, before we head off?
Go follow us on Twitter at truebluespodcast, where it's not as bouncing as our Instagram, but we'll be posting things like Memory Mondays. We've got a beautiful one coming up from my favourite game I've ever been to at Stamford Bridge. It's about to be 9 years since the game where we came from 3-1 down against Napoli and 4-1 in the second leg with Branislav Ivanovic scoring an extra time winner. That's my favourite game I've ever been to, so I'll be going in depth about the limbs that occurred on that day. Just thank you everybody for your support, and we will see you on Wednesday when we're through to the next round of the Champions League.
If you also want to see who the fans voted for, that True Blue of the Month, go and check over our Instagram. The True Blue of the Month is on there, so go and have a look. Hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday after we've got through to the Champions League. Toodle pip.
See you later, boys.